Every day, thousands of adults over 60 lace up their walking shoes with the best intentions. They head outside, walk around the neighborhood, circle the local park, or spend time on the treadmill, believing they are doing one of the healthiest things possible for their bodies. And they are right. Walking remains one of the most effective forms of physical activity for supporting heart health, maintaining mobility, improving circulation, preserving independence, and helping the body stay active as the years go by. But there is something many people never realize. Walking more is not always the answer. Walking better is. Over the years, I have spoken with countless people who told me exactly the same story. Dr. Kang, I walk every day. Some walk 20 minutes, some walk 45 minutes, some rarely miss a day. Yet, despite their consistency, they still struggle with knee discomfort, lower back stiffness, poor posture, reduced endurance, balance concerns, and a feeling that their body simply does not move as smoothly as it used to. Naturally, they assume aging is the only explanation. But very often, when I watch them walk, I discover something different. The issue is not how much they are walking. The issue is how they are walking. Small mistakes repeated thousands of times create effects that slowly build over months and years. A slightly incorrect posture, a stride that is a little too long, shoes that no longer provide proper support, a pace that never challenges the body. These habits seem harmless because they do not create immediate problems. Yet over time, they may place unnecessary stress on joints, reduce walking efficiency, interfere with balance, and prevent people from receiving many of the benefits that walking is capable of providing. The encouraging news is that these mistakes are often easy to correct once you know what to look for. Today, I want to share 6 of the most common walking mistakes I see in adults over 60, and more importantly, the simple adjustments that can help make every step safer, more comfortable, and more beneficial. Some of these may surprise you, and one of them is so common that many people do it during almost every walk without realizing it. Let's begin. Before we talk about the mistakes themselves, it is important to understand why walking changes after the age of 60. The body is incredibly adaptable, but it does experience natural changes over time. Muscle strength gradually declines if it is not actively maintained. Joint cartilage becomes thinner and less resilient. Balance systems become slightly less responsive. Flexibility decreases. Reaction times slow. None of these changes mean you should stop walking. In fact, they make walking even more important. But they do mean that technique matters more than it did decades ago. A movement pattern that felt effortless at 40 may place significantly more stress on the body at 65 or 70. That is why attention to walking form becomes increasingly valuable with age. The goal is not to walk harder, the goal is to walk smarter. And that brings us to the first mistake. Mistake number 1, looking down while walking. This may be the most widespread walking habit I see. Many people walk with their eyes focused on the ground a few feet ahead of them. Sometimes they are watching for uneven pavement. Sometimes they are thinking about something else. Sometimes they are simply used to looking downward. Unfortunately, this posture changes far more than just the position of your head. When the head moves forward, the neck muscles must work continuously to support its weight. The shoulders often begin to round. The upper back starts to curve. Breathing mechanics become less efficient. And the entire walking pattern changes. Think about how often you see people using smartphones. The head tilts forward, the shoulders collapse inward, the chest becomes compressed. Now imagine maintaining a similar position throughout a 30-minute walk. Over time, this may contribute to neck tension, upper back discomfort, shoulder stiffness, and unnecessary fatigue. Many people never connect these symptoms to the way they walk. They assume the discomfort comes from sleeping incorrectly or simply getting older. Yet posture plays a major role. There is another important reason to keep your head up while walking: balance. Your visual system constantly provides information that helps you remain stable. When your eyes stay focused too close to your feet, you reduce your awareness of the environment ahead. Looking forward allows your brain to process information about upcoming surfaces, changes in terrain, and obstacles earlier. This gives the body more time to adjust. A simple posture correction can make a meaningful difference. Before you begin your walk, imagine a string gently lifting the top of your head toward the sky. Keep your chin level with the ground. Allow your shoulders to relax instead of pulling them upward. Open your chest naturally. Then direct your gaze approximately 15 to 20 feet ahead, rather than directly at your shoes. You do not need military posture. You do not need to feel rigid. The goal is simply alignment. Most people notice that walking feels smoother and breathing feels easier when they maintain this position. And throughout your walk, check in with yourself periodically. Posture tends to drift when attention fades. A quick reset every few minutes can make a remarkable difference over time. Now, let's move to another mistake that places unnecessary stress on the lower body. Mistake number 2, taking steps that are too long. Many people believe longer steps automatically mean a better workout. It seems logical. Longer steps feel more powerful. They cover more ground. They create the impression of moving faster. But for many adults over 60, excessively long strides may actually reduce efficiency and increase stress on the joints. When the foot lands too far in front of the body, it acts almost like a brake. Instead of moving smoothly forward, the body must absorb additional force with each landing. The knees often experience the greatest impact. Over time, this repeated stress may contribute to discomfort and reduced walking comfort. Imagine pushing a shopping cart. If the wheels roll directly beneath the cart, movement feels smooth. If the wheels constantly catch and resist forward motion, more effort is required. Walking works in a similar way. Efficient walking happens when the body moves forward fluidly rather than repeatedly stopping and starting with every step. One of the easiest ways to improve this is by slightly shortening your stride. This does not mean taking tiny steps. It simply means allowing your feet to land closer to your center of gravity rather than reaching excessively far ahead. Many walking specialists recommend focusing on cadence rather than stride length. In other words, think about taking slightly quicker, lighter steps instead of longer ones. This often reduces impact while maintaining the same overall walking speed. A useful experiment is to observe how your walk feels for 5 minutes. Pay attention to your foot placement. Are you reaching forward aggressively with every step? Or are your feet landing comfortably beneath your body? Many people immediately notice less strain around the knees and hips when they shorten their stride slightly. Another advantage is improved balance. Shorter, controlled steps typically provide more stability than exaggerated strides. This becomes increasingly valuable as we age, because maintaining confidence in movement helps people remain active and independent. Remember, walking is not a competition. The objective is not to create the biggest stride possible. The objective is efficient, comfortable, sustainable movement that supports long-term health. And sometimes, doing a little less with each step actually helps the body accomplish much more. One of the biggest differences between people who continue enjoying their walks for years and those who gradually begin avoiding them is not motivation. It is preparation. Many adults step outside and immediately begin walking at their normal pace. There is no transition period. One moment they are sitting in a chair, watching television, reading, or finishing breakfast. The next moment they are moving as if their body has already been active for 10 minutes. The problem is that the body does not instantly switch from rest mode to exercise mode. Your muscles need increased blood flow. Your joints benefit from gentle movement before handling repetitive loading. Your heart and circulation perform best when they are allowed to adapt gradually, rather than being asked to work harder without warning. Think about a cold car engine on a winter morning. Most people understand that immediately pushing it to maximum performance is not ideal. A short period of gradual activity allows everything to operate more smoothly. Your body works in much the same way. When walking begins too aggressively, many people notice shortness of breath earlier than expected. Others feel tightness in the calves, stiffness in the hips, or unnecessary fatigue during the first several minutes. What is interesting is that these symptoms often disappear when the beginning of the walk becomes more gradual. A simple adjustment can make a surprisingly large difference. Start the first 2 or 3 minutes at an easy pace. Walk comfortably enough that your breathing remains completely relaxed. Allow your legs to loosen naturally. Let your arms begin swinging freely. Give your joints time to warm through movement. Only after this brief period should you gradually increase your speed. Many people discover that the rest of their walk feels easier, smoother, and more enjoyable when they stop treating the first few minutes as a race. And because walking should support consistency, comfort matters. The easier walking feels, the more likely you are to continue doing it regularly. Another area that deserves attention is something most people rarely think about until discomfort appears: their shoes. I often ask people how old their walking shoes are. Many smile and tell me they still look perfectly fine. The soles are intact. The material appears clean. Nothing seems obviously wrong. But appearance can be deceiving. Walking shoes gradually lose support long before they show visible signs of wear. The cushioning materials inside the shoe compress little by little with every step. Eventually, they no longer absorb impact the way they once did. This change happens so slowly that most people never notice it. Instead, they begin noticing something else. Their knees feel slightly more sensitive after walks. Their feet seem tired sooner. Their hips feel stiffer at the end of the day. Balance feels less stable on uneven ground. The connection to footwear often goes completely unnoticed. As we age, proper footwear becomes increasingly important because the body's own shock-absorbing systems naturally change over time. The feet themselves undergo changes. The tissues that help provide natural cushioning become thinner. The structures supporting the arches may become less resilient. Joint mobility can decrease. For these reasons, footwear that once felt acceptable may no longer provide the support the body needs. This does not mean everyone needs expensive specialty shoes. The goal is comfort, stability, and appropriate support. A good walking shoe should feel secure around the heel, provide enough room for the toes to move naturally, and offer support without feeling excessively soft or unstable. Many people assume softer is always better. Surprisingly, shoes that are too soft can sometimes reduce stability by making it harder for the feet to sense the ground beneath them. Balance depends heavily on information coming from the feet. The clearer that information is, the easier it becomes for the body to make small adjustments while walking. If your shoes are more than a year old and used regularly, it may be worth evaluating whether they still provide the same support they once did. Sometimes a simple change in footwear makes walking feel noticeably more comfortable within days. And speaking of comfort, there's another common walking habit that quietly limits many of the benefits people hope to receive from exercise. It is a habit so common that most walkers consider it completely normal. They choose one comfortable pace and stay there for the entire walk. From beginning to end, nothing changes. The speed remains exactly the same. The effort remains exactly the same. The body never receives a new challenge. At first glance, this sounds reasonable. After all, consistency is important. But the human body adapts remarkably quickly. When the same activity is performed in exactly the same way, day after day, improvements often begin to slow. Walking remains beneficial, of course. Any movement is generally better than no movement. But small variations can often create additional benefits without requiring more total time. Imagine listening to music that contains only one note repeated endlessly. Eventually, it becomes background noise. The body responds similarly to movement. A gentle change in intensity captures its attention and encourages adaptation. One simple strategy is to occasionally increase your pace for short periods. Nothing extreme, nothing exhausting. Perhaps 1 minute of brisk walking followed by several minutes at your normal, comfortable speed. Then repeat the process a few times throughout the walk. During these slightly faster intervals, breathing becomes somewhat deeper. Conversation requires a little more effort, and circulation increases. Many people find this approach more engaging because it breaks the walk into smaller segments, rather than feeling like one continuous effort. Even better, it encourages the cardiovascular system to respond and adapt. The goal is not to become breathless. The goal is simply to remind the body that it is capable of more than one speed. Small challenges often produce meaningful results when repeated consistently over time. And there is one final habit that many people overlook completely until they experience its effects firsthand. Ironically, it happens at the very end of the walk, precisely when people think the exercise is already finished. Нет, это примерно середина сценария. Для ролика на 17-20 минут нужен еще финальный большой блок и завершение. Продолжение. Many people finish their walk and immediately stop moving. They reach the front door, sit on a bench, get into the car, or settle into a chair without giving their body any time to transition. The walk is over, so they assume the work is finished. But your circulation does not stop working the moment your feet stop moving. Throughout the walk, your muscles have been helping pump blood back toward the heart. Your breathing rate has increased. Blood vessels have adjusted to support movement. Your entire cardiovascular system has been operating at a different level than it was 20 or 30 minutes earlier. When movement suddenly stops, the body needs a few moments to return gradually to its resting state. For some people, especially older adults, an abrupt stop may be followed by lightheadedness, a brief feeling of imbalance, or a sensation that energy suddenly drops. Often, this is not because anything is seriously wrong. It is simply because the body was not given enough time to slow down smoothly. Professional athletes understand this concept very well. After training sessions, they rarely stop instantly. They walk, stretch lightly, or reduce intensity gradually before finishing completely. The principle is exactly the same regardless of age or fitness level. The final few minutes matter. As you approach the end of your walk, begin reducing your pace little by little. Let your breathing slow naturally. Allow your muscles to relax while still moving. Give your circulation time to adjust. This small habit requires almost no effort, yet many people report feeling noticeably better afterward. Less dizziness, less fatigue, less stiffness, and a smoother transition into the rest of the day. Now, there is one more walking mistake that deserves attention because it affects nearly every other point we have discussed. It is the mistake of believing that more is always better. I meet people who think they must walk farther, faster, or longer every week, regardless of how their body feels. If 20 minutes is good, then 40 must be better. If 40 is good, then an hour must be better. But healthy aging is not about constantly pushing harder. It is about finding the amount of activity that supports your body rather than overwhelms it. Your goal is not to win a competition. Your goal is to maintain mobility, strength, confidence, and independence for as many years as possible. That requires consistency more than intensity. A comfortable 30-minute walk, performed regularly, is often far more valuable than occasional exhausting sessions that leave you sore, discouraged, or reluctant to move the next day. Listen to your body. Pay attention to recovery. Notice how you feel not only during the walk, but also later that evening and the following morning. Your body provides valuable feedback when you are willing to notice it. The healthiest walkers are not necessarily the fastest walkers. They are the ones who can continue moving comfortably month after month and year after year. That is what creates lasting results. So let's quickly review the habits that deserve your attention. Keep your head up and your posture relaxed but aligned. Avoid reaching too far forward with each step. Give your body a few minutes to warm up before increasing pace. Wear supportive footwear that still provides stability and cushioning. Introduce occasional changes in speed rather than remaining at the exact same pace for every minute of every walk. Gradually slow down before finishing instead of stopping abruptly. And perhaps most importantly, focus on consistency rather than constantly trying to do more. These are not complicated changes. Most cost nothing. Most can be implemented during your very next walk. Yet together, they can transform the way walking feels and help you receive far more benefit from the time you are already investing. If you remember only one thing from today's discussion, let it be this. Walking is one of the greatest gifts you can give your future self. Every step supports movement. Every step supports circulation. Every step supports strength, balance, and confidence. But like any powerful tool, it works best when used correctly. Take a moment today and ask yourself a simple question. Which of these habits sounds most familiar? Choose just one area to improve during your next walk. Not 6. Not everything at once. Just one. Small improvements practiced consistently often create the biggest changes over time. I'm Dr. Kang, and thank you for spending these minutes with me today. If you found this information helpful, consider subscribing and joining our community, where we focus on practical, evidence-based strategies that help adults over 60 stay active, strong, and confident. Until next time, take care of yourself, keep moving, and enjoy every step.